Hi, everybody. It's Carol. It's Wednesday, August 5th. Tomorrow is the feast day of the Transfiguration, one of the major minor feasts in the church. It commemorates the ascension of Jesus up onto the high mountain where he is seen transfigured or metamorphized in front of Peter, James, and John. And also, Moses and Elijah are seen with him. And the story goes that the disciples, particularly Peter, wanted to build shrines or booths for Moses and Elijah and Jesus so that they could have their place of worship there forever. And Jesus rebukes Peter for saying that. And then pretty soon Elijah and Moses go away. Moses represents the law, and Elijah represents the prophets, and Jesus represents himself as the Redeemer. The Transfiguration's always been a mystery, except to say to me that it gives us that prefiguration of the resurrection and the promise that we also can be transfigured. We also can be metamorphized from the fallen, fragile, uh, kind of forgotten where I was because a dog barked. The Transfiguration reminds us that we too can be transformed into the child of God. We always were, have always been, will always be, but sometimes we forget. And sometimes we forget who we are and whose we are. And we forget that we belong to Christ. So you might think about that tomorrow as the church celebrates the Feast of the Transfiguration. I thought today, though, I came back to do a video, and sometimes I don't do one because I don't think I have anything important to say or necessarily interesting. But I thought I'd talk to you today just because I've been out on my bicycle and I'm sort of getting a kick out of my adventures with my bicycle in the last couple of days. 20 years ago, probably, might have been 18, 20 years ago, I bought a Trek road bike. And the road bike are those ones with the skinny tires on them, meant to be ridden on the road. And my sister and I were riding the Dalmac ride, which goes from Lansing to Mackinac City over 5 days. And this particular bicycle was a Lance Armstrong model. That is, it was decorated with United States Postal Service colors because that was a time when Lance Armstrong was being sponsored by the United States Post Office. So it's red, white, and blue, and it's pretty snazzy. I like it a lot, and I think I've ridden the Dalmac 3 or 4 times. So anyway, that's my road bike. So I have not ridden my road bike in at least 5 years, and it might have been longer. And part of the reason is because the tires became flat and would not hold air. And there can be 2 problems with that. One can be the tube, or the other can be the tire itself. I know that much, but what I could not remember was really how to satisfactorily change either the tube or the tire. So anyway, I took it to my bicycle shop, and right there and then they were able to put new tubes and tires on. And I was very excited because now my bicycle is ready. And I decided that after 20 years, I should get a new helmet because we're all at that age, are we not, where keeping our brains from being rattled too much is a good thing. So I probably upgraded my helmet so that my brains wouldn't rattle quite so much as they would have with the old helmet. and there's no chance that this one has any cracks in it or whatsoever. So I got a new helmet, and I'm excited about that. And I got a new pair of gloves. Again, my gloves were about 20 years old, and they had gel pads right here because you hang on to the bike like this, and your wrists and arms get sore. So I got some new gloves, and the new technology is they have gel right here and they have gel down here. So there's twice as much gel to hang on to, and I'm excited about that. And I got some new socks, which fit into my shoes, my bicycling shoes, which are called, I think they're called clipless bicycle shoes. And what that means is that on my bicycle, I do not have pedals per se. What I have are these little mechanisms where the hardware at the bottom of my shoe and the hardware of the pedal click together when I get on the bicycle, so that when my right foot is clicked in and my left foot is clicked in, um, and I'm pedaling, my feet, my shoe, and the pedal are all as one. That is, I can't just, you know, make my foot come out um, and move it. It's stuck, to the pedal unless you turn it and get yourself out of it. So I was remembering learning how to ride with these because truly, if you don't get yourself out of the pedal, the hardware, you are going to fall if you lose your balance. And have you ever heard of these falling goats? I think they are, where, uh, and I think they're in Ireland or in the British Isles somewhere. These goats that if something uh, drastic happens to them, they just fall over like that. They just go from here to there. No kind of falling down, just over. Well, that's what happens in the bicycle. If you're still clipped in to the pedal and you're going to fall, you just go straight over like that. There's no bracing yourself with your leg or anything like that. So, so I had that. I found my shoes. Uh, I could feel them, clip in. And then I bought a new rear view mirror. And that might be the second most important thing besides your helmet, because you want to see who's in back of you, if there's any traffic, a car, another bicyclist, whatever. And so Sunday, I was home in the afternoon, and I'm going to go and see if I can remember how to ride a bike, which they say you can never forget. But you can forget how to ride a bike, especially the get up that all this is. I had my helmet, I had my shoes on, I had my gloves on, the bicycle's all set to go, and I had this mirror, my little rear view mirror, and for the life of me, I could not get that mirror into my helmet so that I could see what was in back of me. And I am not a person who's going to ride without a mirror. So I went round and round and round trying to figure out how this mirror adjusts itself and how it gets up into the helmet and whatnot. And then finally, it occurs to me to look up on the Google machine, how do you install this thing in your helmet? And so I went to my phone and got on the internet and immediately found out that this mirror attaches to your glasses. It doesn't attach to your helmet. And so I never would have figured out how to attach it because it doesn't attach. So, can you forget how to ride a bike? Yes, you can. So having fixed that and put on some sunglasses, I went outside, got myself over the bicycle, got my right foot clipped in, and took off, and then got my left foot clipped in. And the second thing I learned about can you forget to ride a bicycle is yes, you can forget how to sort of keep your balance on this very narrow piece of machinery. So I'm not going to say I fell because I didn't, but I went on Sunday for just a few minutes just to kind of get the sense of riding the bicycle again. And on Monday, I went for 7 miles, again, just to kind of get my bearings again on the bicycle. And then hopefully tomorrow it'll be a nice day and I'll add to my mileage. But you can ask me how the bicycling's going because I am trying to learn how to bicycle again. So that's my news for today. The last, though, is that I came across a poem today that has really struck me powerfully. This Sunday, our lesson is about Jesus coming to the disciples during a storm and how Peter is invited to come out onto the water. And Jesus, holds out his hand and invites him to step out of the boat and to come out on the water and come to Jesus. And I found this poem, and it just speaks to me about that encounter that Peter and Jesus had. So I'd like to read it to you and have that be our evening prayer. This is called The True Love. It's by David White. There is a faith in loving fiercely the one who is rightfully yours, especially if you have waited years, and especially if part of you never believed you could deserve this loved and beckoning hand held out to you this way. I am thinking of faith now and the testaments of loneliness and what we feel we are worthy of in this world. Years ago in the Hebrides, I remember an old man who walked every morning on the gray stones to the shore of baying seals, who would press his hat to his chest in the blustering salt wind and say his prayer to the turbulent Jesus hidden in the water. And I think of the story of the storm and everyone waking and seeing the distant yet familiar figure far across the water calling to them, and how we are all preparing for that abrupt waking and that calling and that moment we have to say yes. Except it will not come so grandly, so biblically, but more subtly and intimately in the face of the one you know you have to love. So that when we finally step out of the boat towards them, we find everything holds us and everything confirms our courage. And if you wanted to drown, you could, but you don't. Because finally, after all this struggle and all these years, you don't want to anymore. You've simply had enough of drowning. And you want to live, and you want to love, and you will walk across any territory and any darkness, however fluid and however dangerous, to take the one hand you know belongs in yours. Dear friends, I imagine Jesus holding out his hand to me and my being able to reach out and take it. And I hope you can imagine that for you also. Have a good night, and I'll see you soon.